Hi, this is the lesson number 5th in the series of British literature, and in this lesson we shall be talking about Christian poetry. Earlier we have discussed about lyric poetry and epic poetry, and now we are talking about Christian poetry. In that we have three major poets. We are talking about Anglo-Saxon period, remember? And the first one is Cadman. Cadman. Cadman, he was his time period was almost 7th century, and the collection of his poem was called as the Charms. And his life story and everything, whatever we know about him, we come to know through Bede's ecclesiastical history of English people. There is a poet named as Bede. We shall discuss about him after Cadman. Bede has written a work, and the name of that work is Ecclesiastical History of English People. So Bede is talking about these English people, and one of them is Cadman. So all credit goes to Bede for letting us know about Cadman. And it is told as that Cadman was a shepherd and he was completely illiterate. He was not able to sing at all, and he there was a practice in monastery that while playing, the people used to give a harp and a musical instrument. You can go to Google and find harp, people sitting in a circle and giving harp to one another, and like a game, and on their turn they used to sing. But Cadman was not able to sing, and even the other person, they were quite reluctant to pass that harp to Cadman because he was not able to sing. And at that time he felt embarrassed, and in the night, that night, a stranger, perhaps God, appeared to him and commanded him to sing of the beginning of things, means how the world started, and the creator means the God. And in the morning he found himself singing verses of God, the verses he even haven't heard in his life. And these verses he was singing. Is it possible that someone, if you haven't heard anything in your life and the same that thing you are singing? It was said that he was singing and then started even writing. So this was the effect of that dream that he saw. So further, his works are contained. The mostly famous work one is that is Cadman's hymn. His work, Cadman's hymn, in which he is honoring the God and for giving him those skills to speak and write and sing, in fact, I should say, the ability to sing. And he was thanking God all the way in his works, and most of the themes in his poems were of the sacred things. And the prominent point about Cadman, it is that he was called as the Milton of the Anglo-Saxon period. As Milton we have, he used to sing of God as well. So Cadman was called as the Milton of Anglo-Saxon period. After Cadman, we have the next poet, Bede. So as in Cadman's life, I told you about Bede's work, Ecclesiastical History of English People. So this is his prominent work, Bede, and it talks about the Anglo-Saxon period, this work, and the development of Christianity in England. And this work is written in Latin. And Bede was the first writer, but he wrote in Latin. We have to remember that Cadman was the first poet, but he did not write, because whatever we come to know about him, about his life, from the Bede's work. So it is said that Bede was the first writer in England, but he wrote in Latin language. Later, whatever Bede wrote, it was translated into Old English by the King Alfred. And the main point in his work about the Christianity and also about the life of Caedmon. And he was born somewhere around in 7th century AD. So we are about 6th 7th century, about the life of Caedmon Bede. 672 672 AD, and died 765. And he was known as some several names like Saint Bede, Venerable Bede, Bede the Venerable, and his birth and death place was Jarrow in Britain or England. Jarrow, his birth and death place. Then we have the third famous writer or poet in Christian poetry during the period of Anglo-Saxon age, and that is Cynewulf. Cynewulf or Cynewulf, however you may prefer to call him, he was the first poet to sign his poems. So Cynewulf and sign, you can take the word for almost the same meaning or pronunciation. Cynewulf, he was the first poet to sign his poems, means writing the poem, and at the end of the poem he used to sign. And he was known for his religious compositions. Some of the names of the poems are The Fates of Apostles, Juliana, Elaine, Christ II, and it was also referred as Accessions. Christ II was also referred as Accessions. Then we have the two things, in fact two types of his signs. In one, he is writing the name as Cynewulf, written before you can see on the screen, and in the other he omitted E. The word Juliana Elaine poem contains the sign as Cynewulf, but the other poems, rest of the poems, contain the signature as Cynewulf. Where E is missing, this is we have to note. And then one famous poem we have in Anglo-Saxon period about Christianity, and that is very famous poem, Dream of the Rood. Dream of the Rood. And rood means the cross on which Jesus Christ was hanged, and that cross is given the name rood. And in this poem the narrator is having a dream, and he is speaking to the cross, the same rood. So that is why it is said the dream of the rood. So the narrator is talking to rood in the dream. This poem contains 3 sections. The first section talks about the vision of the rood. The second section talks about the cross, that rood. The cross shares the account of Jesus' death, how Jesus died on that rood, and how the pain and sufferings were when the nails were hammered, and everything. He just explained what was the experience, that terrible experience he had. And in the third section the author talks about his reflection about the vision he had, and further he becomes thankful to the God and for giving him that good life, and with that dream he feels satisfied in the life. And about this poem there was a question in the past. Rood means cross. This is we have to remember. Dream of the rood means the cross, the same cross that we see in the Christian religion. So far we have talked about in this lesson Caedmon, Bede and Cynewulf, and then a Christian poem, Dream of the Rood. Before finishing this lesson, I would like to talk a little about Anglo-Saxon prose. Uh, about prose, there was not much to talk about, but the major figure, King Alfred. We all know King Alfred. You can search about him on Google. He lived during the 8th century or 9th century, between 800 and 900 AD. And at that time, before him it was Latin everywhere, and then he changed the system of language from Latin to English. And English means that old English. So he preferred, in fact, promoted the translation of most of the works from Latin to Old English. He even started uh, English in education system, in law, and in legal system. Everywhere he promoted English. He started one work that is called as Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, and it was a sort of book that was published every year and continued to be published for almost 300 years. And he encouraged English over the Latin language. And Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, the book I talked about, it gives us the record of Anglo-Saxon history and the literary works. And about King Alfred, he defeated Viking invaders, and that is why he was called as the Alfred the Great. Who were the Viking invaders? We shall talk about them when we discuss about the European literature. So we just remember that King Alfred promoted prose work, and he started Anglo-Saxon Chronicle during that time. So this is enough for this lesson, and then we talk about the change from Old English to the Middle English in the next lesson. Thanks for watching this lesson, and I hope that I'm able to justify your needs. If anything you find you want to comment, please do comment and share this video, this channel. Thanks a lot.